Sri charitmanas, the Mansale containing the exploit of ShreiRama. Mansale containing the exploit of ShreiRama. It has King Sri Rama. It is Bhagwan Shankara, the progeny of the Brahma, the very root of the tree of the piety, the beloved devotee of the King Shyam, the full moon of the bring joy to the ocean of the wisdom, the sun that opens the lotus of dispassion, the mind that disperses the cloud of ignorance, who dispels the thick darkness of sin, eradicates the threefold agony, and who wipe off obloquy. I worship Sri Rama, the writer of all, whose graceful form is an embodiment of joy and dark as a rainy cloud, who is clad in the charming yellow bark and carries in his hands a bow and the arrow, and who had a beautiful, shining, and the well-equipped spear fastened to his breast, and has a pair of the large lotus eyes, who is adorned with the tuft of the matted lock on his head, and who is seen journeying with Sita and Lakshmana. Sri Rama's virtue, Uma Parvati are mysterious. The sick as well as learned men develop dispassion when they appreciate them, while the deluded fools who are hostile to Sri Hari and have no love for the piety get bewildered to hear of them. I have portrayed to the best of my ability the incomparable and charming affection for Sri Rama, the citizen of India, as well as the Bharata. Now hear of the all holy exploits of the Lord, that he walked in the forest of the delight of the gods, men and the Sikhs. On one occasion, Sri Rama cut lovely flowers and made with his own hands a number of ornaments, with which he fondly decked Sita and sat with her on the beautiful rock of the crystals. The foolish son of the Indra, lord of celestial took the form of crows and wanted to test the might of Shiva, the Lord of Ragu, even as the most dull-witted and would sound the depth of the oceans. The stupid fool who has distinguished himself as a crow with his sinister motive, bit Sita in the foot with his beak and flew away. The Lord of the Ragu came to know it only when the blood rained from her foot and fitted a shaft of reed of his bow. The Lord of Ravi is extremely compassionate and is always fond of the meek, but the mischievous fool came and played a trick even with him. Winged with his spear, the shaft, presided over by the Brahma, spat force in the crow in terror, took the flight. Indra's now assumed in his own forms and approached his father, but the latter refused to give him shelter, knowing him to be an enemy of the Sri Rama. Having lost hopes, the protection he felt as alarms as at heart at the sake Durvasa was afraid of the Lord discussed. Weary and stricken with grief, fear and grief, he traversed the abode of the Brahma, the realms of Lord Shiva and all other regions, but no one even asked him to sit down. Who can dare afford shelter to an enemy of the Sri Rama? Listen, Garuda, mount of the Shri Hari. A mother become a terrible as death, and father assumes the rule of the Yama, the god of death. And Borussia turns into the woman. And Borussia turned into the woman, and friend become a hostile as a hundred enemies. The celestial Ganga is converted into the Veterani. The whole world become hotter than the fire to him who is inimical to Sri Rama. The Sikh Narada say, saw Jayanta Indra's sons to distress and was moved with piety. For saints are always tender of hearts. The Sikh sends him immediately to Sri Rama, and he cried out, save me, O friend of the suppliant. Bewildered and terrified, he went and clasped his feet and said, mercy, mercy, O gracious Lord of the Raghu, I could not perceive your incomparable might and matchless glory. Devoted as I am, I have reaped the fruit born my own action, and I have now sought a refuge in you. Protect me, my Lord, when the all merciful Lord heard this most piteous appeals. He let him go with the loss of one eye, O Parvati. Out of folly, Jainta had committed offense against the Lord and therefore deserves death. The latter took compassion on him and let him go. Who is there so merciful as the hero of the Raghu line? Staying at the Chitrapur, the Lord of Raghu performed exploits of the many kinds, which are sweet to hear as an actor. Sri Ramanan thought to himself, people will throng here now that everyone has come to know me. Taking leave of all the hermits, therefore, the two brothers Sri Rama and Lakshmana left the peace with Sita. When the Lord repaired to the Atri's hermitage, the great sage was rejoiced at the news. Sitting all over with joy, Atri sprang up and ran to meet him, and seeing him come to Sri Rama to advance hurriedly towards him, even as the two brothers prostrated themselves, the sage lifted them and clasping them to his bosom, bathed them with tears of love. His eyes were gladdened by the sight of the Sri Rama's beauty, and then he reverently escorted them to his hermitage. Paying his homage to the Lord, he spoke kind words to him and offered him roots and fruits, with he relished much. As the Lord took his seat, Atri, the chief of the six, supremely wise as he was, feasting his eyes on his loveliness and joining his palms, proceeded to extol him. I reverence you who are so fond of your devotees, compassion, and gentle of disposition, adore your lotus feet, which vouchsafe to your selfless lovers and the quarters in your own abode. You are possessed on the exceedingly beautiful Swati form. You are Mount Mandra, as it were to judge the ocean of the mundane excess. You have eyes like the full-blown lotus and rid your wateries of the pride and other vices. Immense the might of your long arm and immeasurably over you carry on your person queer bow and arrow. O Lord of the three worlds, the ornaments of the solar race, you broke the bow of the great Lord Shiva, delighted the greatest sex and the saints. You crushed the host of the demons, the enemies of the God. You are an object of reverence to Lord Shiva and are adored by the Brahma and the divinities. An embodiment of the pure consciousness, you destroy all evils. I bow to Lakshmi's Lord, the fountain of joys and the salvation of saints. I adore you with your spouse Sita and younger brother Lakshmana, yourself a beloved younger brother of Indra, Sachi's Lord, made men who worship the sole of your feet and are free from jealousy, sink not into the ocean of metamorphosis, turbulent with the billow of the wrangling. They who, living in the circulations, constantly worship you with their senses and mind, etc., fully subdued to the sake of attaining liberation, are able to realize their own self. I adore him, the mysterious Lord, who is one without a second, desireless, all powerful, and omnipresent, a teacher of the world, eternal, translating the three gunas, sattva, rasa, and tamsa, and absolute self-existence. I adore him who is fond of devotion, who is most difficult of access of sensuality, minded striver, but who is wish-eating free to his own devotee, then who is impartial and so easy to worship from day to day. I bow the Sita's Lord, King Rama, and matchless beauty. I reverence you, be gracious to me, and grant me devotion to your lotus feet. Man who recites these times in reverence undoubtedly attain your adore, acquiring devotion to your feet at the same time. Then Sita, who was good natured and modest, married Ansuya, Atri's wife, and clasped her feet. The sixth wife felt extremely pleased at heart. She blessed her and seating her by her side, arrayed his in heavenly robes and ornaments, that remaining ever new, clean, and the charming, in affectionate and mild tones, the holy lady then proceeded to discourse on some wifely virtues, making her an occasion for such discourse. Listen, O princes, a mother's, fathers, and brothers are all kinds, but they bestow only limited joy. A husband, however, bestowed unlimited joy in the form of blessedness over the daughter, while is the woman who refused to serve him. Fortitude, piety, and friends, and the wife, these fours are put to the test only times of adversity. A woman who at the time piety and friend with the wife who put the only the times, or a woman who treats her husband with disrespect even though he is old, sick, dull-witted, indigent, and blind, deep, dreadful, almost wretched, shall suffer various torments in hell. The abode of the Yama, devotion of the body, speech, and mind to her Lord's feet is the only duty. Scares those in the penis of a woman. There are four types of faithful wives in this verse. So declares The Vedas, the Puranas in all sense. A woman of the best type is convinced in her heart of heart that she cannot even dream in his words of a man who other than her lords. The meddling regards another husband as her own brother, father or son according to his age. She only is restrained by considerations of virtue or by the thought of her race. It is declared by the Vedas as low woman and know her to be the lowest woman in this world who is restrained only by the fear and want of opportunity. The woman who deceives her husbands and loves a paramour in cast for 100 cycles into the worst form of the hell known by the name of Rorva. Ro- Rorva, who is so depraved as the woman who, for the sake of moment pleasure, reckon not the torment that shall endure for thousands, millions births. The woman who sincerely take a vow of fidelity to her husband easily attain the highest estate, while she who is disloyal to her lord is widowed as soon as she attains her youth, wherever she may be reborn. A woman is impure by her very birth, but she attains a happy state by nature serving her lords. It is due to her loyalty to her husband that Tulsi is loved by Shri even to this day, and her glory is sung by all the four Vedas. Listen, Sita, women will maintain their vow of fidelity to their husband by invoking your very name, Shri Rama's being dear to you as your own life. It is for the good of the world that I have spoken to you on subject. Inka's daughter Sita was overjoyed to hear the discourse and reverently bestows her head at the feet of the Ansuya, the all merciful. Then said to the saint, with your permission, I would go to some other forest, continue to shower your grace on me, and knowing me to be a servant, never cease loving me. Hearing these words, the Lord, who was champion of virtue, enlightened, says, lovingly replied, you are the same Rama, the supreme deity, the beloved of the desireless, and the friends of the meek, who whose favor is sought by the Brahma, the unborn, Lord Shiva, the Sikh, Shankara, and all other preachers, knowers of the highest reality, and yet you are addressing such polite words to me. I now understand the wisdom of She, Goddess Lakshmi, who chose you as her Lord to the exclusions of all other gods. How can he, who is unequaled and unsurpassed by anyone else, be less amiable than he is? How can I say you may go now, my lord? Tell me, O master, knowing as you do the hearts of the all, having spoken thus the say, keeping gazing on the Lord, thrilling all over with emotions, and his eyes flowing with tears. Sitting all over with the excess of love, the sage riveted his eyes on the Lord's lotus feet. He thought to himself, what prayers did I mutter and what austerity did I perform? Yet I was unable to behold with my own eyes the Lord who is beyond all knowledge and transcends the three gunas as well as the senses and the minds. It is through japa, muttering of prayers, yoga, concentration of mind, and the host of religious observances that man acquire devotion which is incomparable as a mean of the God relation. So does Tusta sings the all holy exploits of Sri Rama, the hero from night, day and night. The praises of Sri Rama destroys the impurities of the Kaliyas, subdue the mind, and are source of delight. Sri Rama remains ever propitious to those who listen to them with reverence. The terrible age of Kali is a repository of sins, piety, spiritual wisdom, and yoga or japa are out of place in this age. They alone are wise who worship Sri Rama, giving up all hope. Bowing his head at the lotus feet of the sage Sri Rama, the Lord of Celestial human being, and the sage proceeded to the wood. Sri Rama walked foremost, while Lakshmana followed him in the rear, both appearing most lovely in the gap of the harmony between the two. Sita, who was the same as the She, the goddess of prosperity, shone forth like Maya, which stands between Brahma, the absolute, and the Jiva, the individual soul. The rivers and the thickest hills and the rugged valley recognized their Lord and gave him a smooth passage. Wherever the divine Lord of the roof passed, the clouds made a canopy in the heaven. Even as the trio wedded their way, the demons they have made them, and the hero from Nine slay him as soon as he made his appearance. Meeting his death at the hands of the lords, he immediately attained a beauteous divine form. Finding him led a miserable existence, the Lord sent him to his own abode accompanied by his lovely younger brother Lakshmana and the Janka's daughter Sita. The Lord then visited the Sheikh Sarbanga. Gazing on the Srirama's lotus face, the eyes of the great Sikhs reverently drank in its beauty like a bee. Blessed indeed was the birth of Sarvanga. Said the Sikh, listen, gracious Rama, the hero of Raghunai, the swan disporting the Mansa lake of the Lord Shiva's house. I was about to leave to the Brahma's abode when the report reached my ears and Sri Rama yourself was coming to the forest. I have ever since watched the road day and the night. My heart is now soothed at the sight of my Lord. I have accomplished nothing to deserve your grace. Yet you have shown your grace to me, let me to be your humble servant. Really speaking, however, you have done me no favor, my Lord. You have only redeemed your sealer of your devotees' hearts. For the sake of this humble servant remains here below my eyes till I have quitted this bodies and meet you in your own abode. So saying, the saints offer the Lord's whatever practice of the yoga, strategies, japa, metric of prayers, venus, and fasting he has done, and receiving in returns the boon of the devotion. Having thus acquired the rare gifts of the devotion, the sage Sarabanga prepared a furnace by discarding all attachment from his heart, ascends it. Constantly abide in thy heart, O Lord, with Sita and your younger brother Lakshmana, and your qualified and the embodied form, Swarti as a dark cloud of graceful drama. Having said so, he burned his body with the fire of the yoga, and by the grace of Sri Rama's rose of Vaikuntha, the sage was not absorbed into the person of Sri Hari for this simple reason that he had already received the boon of the personal devotions. The multitude of sages assembled on the occasion who saw the high state to which the great sages had now been translated were greatly delighted at hearts. All the host of the sages now extol the Lord glory to the friends of the suppliant, the founder of mercy. Then the Lord of Raghu went on further into the forest, and many a host of the great Sikhs accompanied him. Seeing a heap of the bones, the Lord of Raghu was moved with great compassion and required the hermits about the same. Through knowing everything, how is it that you ask us, our master? We know you are all seeing and can read the innermost feeling of all. Most of the demons have devoured all the Sikhs. The eyes of Sri Rama, the hero of Raghu, eyes of Rama, hero of Raghu, is filled with tears when he heard this. Through knowing everything, how it is you ask us, our master. We know you are all seeing and can read the innermost feeling of all. Most of the demons have devoured all the Sikhs. The eyes of the Rama filled with the tears when he heard this. The uplifted arm he took a bow to rid the earth of the demons. Then he gladdens all the hermits by visiting their hermitage one by one. The sage Agastya had a learned disciple Sutiksna by name, who was great lover of the Lord. He was devoted to Sri Rama's feet in thoughts, words, and deed, and had no faith in any other deity, even in dream. As soon as the news of the Lord approached reached his ears, he rushed out hurriedly, indulging in his own fancy. Will the Lord of Raghu, the befriender of the meek, O good heavens, ever show his grace to the wretch like me? Till Sri Rama and his younger brother receive me as their own servants. I have no unswearing faith in my heart nor in my mind, illuminated by the light of devotion, dispassion, or wisdom. I have no association with the science and the practice, neither yoga, concentration of mind, or japa, muttering of prayers, nor the rituals, nor do I claim any steadfast devotion to the Lord's lotus feet. I bank on one characteristic of all merciful Lord. He holds the devotees dear who depends exclusively on Him. This inspires me with the hope that my eyes will be rewarded today by the sight of the Lord's lotus feet face. Then believer one forms the bondage of worldly existence. The wise was drowned in the flood of the love. His conditions, O Parvati, cannot be described in words. He has no idea of the four quarter, much less of the intermediate point of the compass, nor could he make out the track. He did not know who he was on whither fronts he would now turns back and then resumes his journey in that same direction. So now he would dance and sing songs of the praises. The Sikhs has been gifted with devotions of the nature of intense love and Lord. watched him hiding behind a tree. When the hero of Raghuline, who despised the fear of transmigration, saw the Sikh's excessive love, he revealed himself in his heart. Sat, the Sikh sat motionless in the middle of the path, his body blisters like a jackfruit with its hair standing on end. The Lord of the Raghu thereupon drew near and was delighted at heart to see the state of his devotee. Srirama tried many ways to rouse the Sikhs, but he would not wake, lost as he was in the ecstasy of his vision. Srirama then withdrew his kingly views and refixed his forearm forming the Sikhs heart. The Sikhs thereupon started up in great agony. Sri Rama then withdrew his kingly views and refixed his forearm from his Sikhs heart, from in the Sikhs heart. The Sikhs thereupon started up in great agony, growing as restless as a noble serpent that has lost the gem on his head. But seeing before him the blissful Rama in his swarthy form with Sita and his younger brother Lakshmana, the great and the blessed Sikh was overwhelmed with affection and dropped like a log at his feet. Taking him in his long arms, the Lord lifted him and with utmost affection pressed him to his bosom. While embracing the sage, the gracious Lord shone forth like a tamra tree, meeting tree of the gold. The sage gazed on the Sri Rama's face, standing motionless like a figure drawn in a picture. Summoning courage in his heart and clasping his feet again and again, the sage then conducted the Lord to his hermitage and adored him homage in many ways. Said the Sikh, listen, O Lord, to my prayers. How am I to hymn your praises? For immeasurable is your glory and scant is my weight, which is insignificant as the flash of the firefly before the sun. I constantly glorify Shri Rama, chief of Raghu, with the body dark as the string of the blue lotus, wearing a crown of the metal lock on his head, and clad in the hundred robes, and carrying a bow and arrow in his hands, with a quiver fastened to his waist, the fire which consumes the thick forest of delusions, the sun that brings the delights of the lotus-like sands, the lion who kills the herds of the elephants in the form of demons, the hawk that kills the birds of metamorphosis. May he ever protect us. I extol Sri Rama, whose eyes resembles the red lotus, who is elegantly dressed, who is full moon in the Sita's chakora-like eyes, whose guidance is buzzing the Mansa lake of the Lord Shiva's heart, and who has broad chest and long arms, Garudas to devour the serpents of dogs, the queller of the despair induced by heated controversy, the uprooter of transmigration, the delight of the gods, the embodiment of the compassions. May he ever protect us. I sing the praises of Sri Rama, the reliever of the earth burden, who is both with and without attributes, who is partial and as well as impartial, who transcends knowledge, speech, and the senses, and has no compeers. The all in is all pure, all comprehensive, faultless, and unlimited. A veritable garden to the wish eating tree to the devotees who keep away wrath, greed, pride, and lust, who is most urban in manner and bridge to cross the to bridge to and a bridge to cross the ocean of the mundane existence. May the champion of solar race ever protect me. Matchless is the power of the arm, the home of the strength, the armor of the protection of the rightness, and with the host of the delightful virtue. May the Rama, whose very name wipe out the greatest sins of the Kali age, be ever propitious to me. Even though he is visionless, all pervading, imperishable, and ever dwelling in the heart of all, let him abide in my thought as slayer of the Khara roaming about in the wood with his younger brother Lakshmana and Sita. Let alone my Lord, those who know you to be both with and without attributes, and the witness of the heart. As for myself, may she have the lotus eyed Lord Kaushala take up its abode in my heart. Let not this exalted feeling disappear from my mind, even in the unguarded moment that I am his servant, and the Lord of whom I am master. Shriyama was delighted at heart to hear the sage's words and the delight, and his delight he pressed the great sage to his bosom again. Know me to be a supremely blessed, O sages. I am prepared to grant you and any boon you may choose to apply. The sage replied, I have never asked any boon and know not what is real and what is unreal, what is chosen and what is rejected. Therefore, lighter of your devotee, grant me that which pleases you. O Lord of Raghu, may you become a depository of the worldly wisdom and goodness, as well as intense devotion, discretion, and spiritual wisdom. I have received the boon that my Lord has been pleased to grant. Now accept to me that which is cherished by me. Armed with the bows and arrow, accompanied by your younger brother and the Chinkas, Lord Sita, Lord of Hope, pray dwell forever like a moon in the firmament of my heart, so free from every desire. So be it said, Shri Ram, the abode of the Lakshmi, as he joyously started on his visit to the Char-born Sri Agasya. It is a long time since I last saw my gurus and came to live in this hermitage. Now, my lord, I will go with you to see my guru, that thus I am not putting you under any obligations. The fountain of the mercy saw through the Sheikh's cleverness, and both the brothers smiled as they took him take him with them, discoursing on the way on the incomparable cult of the devotion to his own feet. Sri Ram, the king of the gods, arrived at the hermitage of the Sikh Agastya. Sutiksna immediately saw his guru, and after protesting himself before the latter, thus addressed him: My lord, the two sons of the king Dasharatha, Kaushal lords, the support of the world, have come to see you. Sri Rama was accompanied by his younger brother Lakshmana and the eldest daughter, whose name you repeat night and day. Venerable Sir Agastya started up as soon as he heard this and ran at the sight of Sri Hari. His eyes filled with tears. The two brothers stared at the Sheikh's lotus feet, and the Sheikh took the clasped them to his bosoms with the utmost affection. Courteously inquired after their welfare. The enlightened Sheikh conducted them on the magnificent seats and then offered worship in various ways to the Lord, saying, There is no other man so blessed as I am. Whatever other Sheikhs has assembled there were all delighted to behold the fountain of joy. As he sat in the midst of the assembly of the Sheikhs, with his face turned towards all and his eyes fixed on his moonlight face, it seems like a baby of the Chapora birds gazing on that one moon. Then said Sri Rama, the hero from 9 to the 6, I have nothing to hide from you, my lord. You know what for I have come. That is why, holy sir, I have not dwelt at the length of this uh, dwell length at this point. Now, my good sir, give me some advice by following which I may be able to kill the enemies of the hermits. The Sikhs smiles when he heard the Lord's remarks. With what intention have you asked me this question? It is by virtue of my devotion to you, O destroyer of the sins, that I know a bit of your glory. Your Maya creative potential, like huge tree of the species known by the name of the Udembra, with the countless multitude of universe for its clustering fruits. The animate and the inanimate being inhabiting of the various universe are like the insect that dwell inside the fruit and know of no other things fruits besides the one own inhabits. The relentless and the dreadful time spirit devours these fruit, but even that all devouring time have even trembled in fear of you. You who are the suzerain Lord of all the religious Lord have asked my advice as though you were an ordinary human being. I ask this boon of your home of the mercy. Pray dwell in my heart with your spouse Sita and younger brother Lakshmana, and let me have intense devotion, dispassion, fellowship with the saints, and unbroken love for your lotus feet. Even though I know you to be the same as the indivisible and finite Brahma, the Absolute, who can only be realized and cannot be known by any other means, and is adored by the saints. And even though I depict you as such, I feel enamoured of your qualified form again and again. You have always exalted your servants, that is why you have thought fit to consult me. O Lord of Lords, there is my Lord, a most charming and the holy spot is called the Panchvati. Sanctify the Dandaka forest where it is situated, and redeem it from the terrible curse of the great sage Shukracharya. Take up your abode there, O Lord of Raghulines, and show your grace to all the sages. On receiving the sage's permission, the Sri Rama departed and drew near to the Panchvati in a short while. He met Jatayu, and developing friendship with him in many ways, the Lord of stayed near it Godavari, where he made himself a thatched hut of leaves. From the time Rama took up his abode there, the sages lived happily and were rid of all fear. The hills, woods, streams, and lakes were suffused with beauty and grew near more lovely day by day. The birds and the deers were full of the joy, and bees with their sweet humming looked very charming. Not even Shesha, the king of the serpents, would be able to describe the foremost forest which was adorned by the Sri Rama, the chief of the Raghus. In his magnificent form, once upon a time, as the Lord was sitting at ease, Lakshmana addressed him in a glueless words, O Lord of gods, human beings, sages, and all animate and inanimate creation, I ask you as of my own master, instruct me, my Lord, how I am able to adore the rest of your feet to the exclusions of everything else, discoursing to me on spiritual wisdom and dissipation as well as my illusions, and also speaks to me about bhakti, due to which you shower your grace. Also explain to me all the differences between gods and individual souls, so that I may be devoted to your feet and my sorrow, infatuation, and delusion may disappear. I will explain everything in a nutshell. Listen, dear brother, with your mind, intellect, and reason fully observes. The feeling of I and mine, and you and yours is Maya illusions, which holds sway over all created being. Whatever is perceived by the senses, and that which lies within the reach of the minds, know it all to the Maya and hear of it divisions too. They are two knowledge and ignorance. The one ignorance is vile and extremely painful and has cast the jiva into metamorphosis. The other knowledge which brings forth the creation and which holds sway over the three gunas, sattva, rajasa, and tamasa, is directed by the Lord and has no strength of its own. Spiritual wisdom is that which is free from all blemish in the shape of the pride and which seems the supreme spirit equally in all. He shown he alone, dear brother, should be called a man of the supreme dispassion, who has sprung all supernatural power as well as the three gunas of which the universe is composed, as if of no more account than a blade of the grass. That alone deserves to be called a jiva, individual soul which knows not Maya, nor God, nor one own selves. And Shiva, the Shiva's God is he who award bondage and liberations according to one's desire, transcends all, and the motivator of Maya. Dissipation results from the practice of virtues, while spiritual wisdoms come from the practice of the yoga, concentration of mind, and wisdom is the best of liberations. So declare the Vedas, and that which melt my heart quickly, dear brother, is devotion, which is light of my devotee. I stand by itself and require no other prop. Whereas Jana, knowledge of God is his absolute formless aspects, the Vijnana knowledge of the qualified lifestyle of God, both with and without form, depend on it. Devotion, dear brothers, is incomparable and the very root of the bliss. It can be acquired only by the favor of the saints. I now proceed to tell you at some length the means of acquiring devotion, an easy path by which men find me. In the first place, a man should cultivate excessive devotion to the feet of Brahmans, and secondly, he should remain engaged in his own duty according to the lines laid down by the Vedas. The in the first place, I now proceeded to tell you some length, the means of acquiring devotion, an easy path by which man can find. In the first place, a man should cultivate excessive devotion to the feet of the Brahmans, and secondly, he should remain engaged in his own duty according to the lines laid down by the Vedas, that induce an aversion to the pleasure of the sense and dissipation, and in its turns engages of love for my cult, the cult of devotion. This will bring steadfastness in the nine form of devotion, such as Shravana, hearing of the Lord's praise, and the mind will develop excessive fondness for the my sports. Again, one should be extremely devoted to the lotus feet of the saints and should be persistent in the practice of adorations through mind, speech, and action. He should recognize me as his preceptor, father, mother, kinsman, lord, deity, and all, and should be steadfast in my service. A thrill runs through his bodies, and he sings my praises. His voice gets chokes, and his eyes flow with tears. He is free from the lust and other vices, pride, and hypocrisy. I am ever at the back and call on such a devotee. May I ever repose in the lotus hearts of those who depends on me in thoughts, words, and deeds, and who worship me in a selfless way. Lakshmana was greatly delighted to hear the above discourse on the discipline of the bhakti devotion and bowed his head at the feet of the Lord. In this way, some days were spent in discoursing on dissipation, spiritual wisdom, God, goodness, and morality. Now, around the other 20 years, they went into the Lanka, had a sister, Supnaka, a woman having nails as big as a windowing fan, by a name who was wholehearted and cruel as a serpent. She once went to the Panchvati and was smitten with pain of love at the sight of the two princes, at the very sight of the handsome man, be he her own brother, father, or son. O Garuda, Wonder woman get excited and cannot rest in her patience, even as the sunstone emits fire when it wars in front of the sun. Having assumed a charming form, she approached the lords and with many a smile addressed the following verse to him: There is no man like you and no woman like me. It is with the great deliberation that God has made these pairs. I have ransacked the thieves' pairs, but have found no suitable match for me in this whole world. It is for the reason that I have till now remained a virgin. My mind has been set at rest a bit only after seeing you. The Lord cast a glance at Sita and said only this much: My younger brother is a bachelor. She went to Lakshmana, who, knowing that she was their enemy's sister, looked at his lord and spoke in gentle tones. Listen, fair lady, I am his servant and dependent. Thus you will have no comforts with me. My lord is all powerful and sovereign king of the Kaushalpura Ayodhya. uh, Whatever he does will be worthy of him. A servant who aspires for the happiness, a beggar who expects honor, a person addicted to some vice who hopes for riches, a profligate who seeks a blessed estates after death, an avaricious man who covets strength, and proud men who expect the four prizes of the life. All these men expect to get milk by milking the heaven. Again she turns and came to ShreiRama, but the Lord's sent her back to Lakshmana, said Lakshmana, he alone will wed you, who deliberately cast all shame to the winds. Thereupon she went fretting and forming a ShreiRama and revealed her frightful demonic form. The Lord of who saw that the Sita was terrified and made a sign to his younger brother. Lakshmana saw that Sita was terrified and made a sign to his younger brother. With great agility, Lakshmana struck off her nose and ears, thereby challenging Ravana through her the contest as it were. Without nose in the ear, she wore a hideous aspect and looked like a mountain flowing with the torrent of the root orchard. She went sobbing the Khara and Dushna, fie upon your manhood and the strength, brother. Questioned by them, she told them everything in the details. Hearing her reports, the demon chief gathers an army, swarming multitudes of demons of the diverse shape, rushed forth like hosts of the winged mountains of the collidium of the vehicles of the various kinds. They were infinite in number and were armed with terrible weapons of the various kinds. They placed at their hand Subnaka, shown of her ears and nose, and thus presenting an inauspicious sight. Numberless ill omens on fearful natures occurs to them, but the host heeded them not. Doomed as they all were of the death, they rode and the build and sprang in the air, and the champions were filled with excessive joy to see the army. Said one, capture the two brothers alive, and having captured them, kill them and carry off the woman. The vault of the heavens was overhung with the dust raised by them. Seeing this, the ShreiRama called his younger brother Lakshmana and said, Take Zanka's daughter to some mountain caves. A terrible array of the demons has come, therefore remain one on your guard. Obedient to his lord's commands, he withdrew to safe retreat with Sita, bow and arrow in hands. When ShreiRama saw that the hostile forces advanced, he smiled and he strung his formidable bow. As he coiled his matted locks into the tuft of his head, after shrinking his formidable bow, it seemed as if a pair of snakes were engaged in a conflict with countless attacks of the lightning of the mountain of Ermlad. Having grated up his square at his waist and clasping his bow with his long arms and putting his arrow in order, he looked the enemy even as a lion, the king of the breast, would glare at the heart of the large elephants. Valiant champions came rushing with all speed, shouting, seize him, even as the demon closed round upon the rising sun, finding him all alone. Even as they beheld the Lord's, as they beheld the Lord, the invading warriors could not discharge their arrow. The whole demon host become powerless. Khara and Dushna summoned their minister and said that this prince, whoever he may be, in the ornaments of the human race, of all the Nagas, demons, gods, human beings, and the sages that exist in this universe, we have seen vanquished or slain many. But during our whole life, listen to us, our Britons, all we have never beheld such beauty. Even though he has disfigured our sister, he does not deserve that. Fearless is as he is the man surrendered to us, and once the woman you have put in hiding somewhere and returns home with your wife. Both you and your brother deliver the message of mine to him and returns immediately with his reply. The Harlands went to the ShreiRama and delivered the message to him. In reply to which ShreiRama smilingly said, "We are Kshatriya by birth and are given to hunting in the woods. Rest like you are the games that we are tracking. We are never dismayed at the sight of the mighty foe and would give battle to death himself if he ever approached before us. Through human being, we are the exterminator of the race of the demons, and through youthful in appearance, we are the protector of the hermits and the torments of the wicked. If you have no strength to the flight, you had better return home. I never kill an enemy who has turned his back upon the field of the battle. When you have come up to fight, it would be height of the weakness to play melee pranks or to show compassion to your enemy. The Harlands readers would repeated all that they had been told. The heart of Kara and Ushna was on fire when they heard it. Their heart was on the fire and they exclaimed, "Captured him!" Hearing with furious demon champions rushed forth, all armed with the bows and the arrows, steel clubs, pikes, spears, six sisters, snakes, and the axe. First of all, the Lord gave him bow and the fang shield, terrific and the fearful, which defended and distanced the demons, and they had no sense left in them at that time. Having learned that they were confronting a powerful enemy, the demon warriors now rushed with caution and began to hurl missiles and weapons of the various kinds on the ShreiRama. The hero of Raghunath, however, tore them into the pieces as small as sesame seeds, and then drawing the bowstrings to his ear, let fly his own arrows. Then a terrible arrow spread forth, hissing like so many serpents. Shriyama got infuriated in battle, and arrows exceedingly sharp flew from his bow. A demon warrior stands and freed them. They found the arrow so very keen. The three brothers, Karadusha and Trishana, fled into the rage. Whoever fled from the battlefield will be killed by us and with our own hands. At this, the warrior turns back, fully resolved to die, and made a frontal attack with weapons of the every description. Perceiving that the enemy was exceedingly furious, the Lord fitted arrow to his bows and discharged many a shaft of the nurture types, with the result that frightful fields began to be moved down. Trunks, heads, arms, heads, and the feet began to drop to the ground here, there, and everywhere. Pierced by the shafts, they yield, and their trunks fell like mountain. The bodies of the warriors were torn into the 100 pieces, and resorting to deceiving methods, they stood up again. A number of arms and the heads flew through the airs, and headless trunks rained to and fro. Birds like kites and the crows and jackal wrangled in the cruel and the awful way. Then cast angle, ghosts, spirits, and the friends filled the balls of the skulls with blood. Devil clashes the heads of the slain warrior like camels and the yoginis dance. Sri Rama's fierce arrows tore to the pieces the leaders' breast, arms, and the heads. Their bodies fell on every side, but they stood up again to fight with terrible cries of the seas captured. Persia flew away with the ends of the entrails in his claws, while goblins scampered with the others and had in their hands. One might fancy numberless children of the town of the battlefield were to flying kite. A large number of champions that had smitten on the knocked down or whose breast has been torn by the morning, finding their enemy army in distress. Leaders like Trishakara and Dushna turns toward ShreiRama. Countless demons hurled furiously against the hero of Raghuline, arrows, maras, iron clubs, axes, javelins, and the daggers, all at once in the twinkling of the eyes of the Lord's words of the enemy shafts and sent forth his own arrow, planting 10 shafts in his breast of the each champions of the demon host. The leader fell to the ground but rose again and joined in the fray. Yet they would not die and played very many tricks. The gods trembled with fear when they saw that the demons numbered 14,000, while the Lord of Ayodhya was all alone. Finding the gods in the sacred arms, the Lord, who is the controller of Maya cosmic illusions, what a great miracle. The demons saw the another in the form of the ShreiRama, so that the enemy warriors fought among themselves and perished. They quitted their body crying Rama Rama and thereby attained the state of the eternal bliss. Falling back upon the device of the ocean of the mercy kills the enemy in the instance. The gods in this execution reigned of power and cattle drop sounded in the heavens, and the hymning their praises one after another they all left shining in their cars of the various pattern. When the Lord of Raghu has vanquished the foe in a battle, the gods, human being, and the sages were all rid of the fear. Then Lakshmana brought Sita's bags, and as he fell at his feet, the Lord joyously clasped him to his bosom. Sita fixed her gaze on his arti and the delicate forms with utmost affection, but her eyes knew no satiety. Thus, dwelling at Panchavati, the blessed Lord of the Raghu performed deed that delights gods and sages alike. Perceiving the destruction of Khara and Dushna, Surpanaka approached Ravana and instigated him against Sri Rama. In great fury, she rated him in following words: discarding all throw of your limbs and exchequer, you drink and sleep day and night and take no heed of the enemy who is now at your very door. Sovereignty without political insight, wealth without diverse from the virtue, wealth diverse from the virtue, sovereignty without political insight, wealth diverse from the virtue, noble deed that have no been offered by the sheer gods, and learning which is not begets discrimination is nothing but fruitless labor to man who has gained such kingdom or wealth. To the doers of the noble acts and the students respectively, a clause is quickly undone by the attachment, a king by evil counsel, a clause is quickly undone by the attachment, a king by the evil counsel, wisdom by conceit, modesty by drinking, friendship by want of love, and man of merit by vanity. Such is magazine I have heard. An enemy, a melody, fire, sin, and master, and the serpents are never to be accounted trials. So saying, and with profuse lament, she sat to weeping. In her distress, she threw herself round Ravana's course, and with many a tear said, do you think, my ten-headed brothers, that I should be reduced to this state even though you are alive? On hearing this, the coteries rose in great bewilderment. Taking her by the arms, they lifted her up and comforted her. Said the king of the Lakshmana, tell me what has happened to you, who has stuck off your nose in the ears. Two sons of Dasharatha, Lord of Ayodhya, who are loyal among men and out of for hunting in the woods. The estimates that I have found to their doing is that they will rid the earth of the demons, relying on the might of his arm. So ten-headed Ravana, the hundreds roam about in the woods without fear, though quite young to look at, they are terrible as death, the staunchest of archers and accomplished in many ways. Both brothers are unequaled in might and the glory, devoted to the extermination of the weak. They are source of delight and gods and saints. The elder of the two, who is an abode of the beauties, known by the name of the Rama, he has with him a younger brother. The Creator made the woman the very embodiment of loveliness. 100 million sati, consort of the god of love, artificed before her. It was his younger brother Lakshmana who choked off my ears and nose and made a mock of me. When he heard that I was your sister, when Khara and Vishnu heard it, they went to avenge the wrong done to me. But Rama slew the whole army in a trice. The ten-headed demon Rama burned all over with rage when he heard the destruction of Khara and Vishnu and Trisha. Having consoled Shupnaka, he boasted his stance in many ways, but he retired to the place full of the great anxiety and could not sleep the whole night. Among God, human being, demons, nagas, and birds, he thought there is none who can withstand my sermon. As the Khara and Dushna, they were the powerful as myself. Who else could have killed them had it not been the Lord Himself? If therefore the Lord Himself, the director of the gods and the reliever of the earth burden, had appeared on the earth, I will go and resolutely fight with Him and cross the ocean of the mundane existence by falling to with His arrows. Adoration is out of caution in his geometric body, which is made above the principle of ignorance, tamsa. Therefore, such is my firm resolve in thoughts, words, and deeds. And if there happen to be some mortal princes, I shall conquer them both in battles and carry off the bride. Having thus made up his mind, he mounted his carrots and drove off alone to the spots where Marika was living by the seashore. Now here a detectable account of the device that ShreiRama employed. When ShreiRama had gone to the woods to gather fruits, and the bulb, ShreiRama, the very incarnation of the compassion and joy, spoke with the smiles of the Janka's daughter. This is my darling, who have been staunch in the holy vow of the fidelity to me and are the virtuous in conduct. I am going to act a lovely human part. Abide in the fire until I have completed the destruction of the demons. No sooner had Sri Rama told her everything in details than she impressed the image of the Lord's feet on her heart and entered into the fire, leaving with him over only of a shadow of hers through precisely of the same appearance and the same amiable and gentle disposition. Lakshmana too did not know the secret of what the lords had done behind the curtain. A ten-headed Rama approached Marika and bowed his head to him. Selfish and vile as he was, the meekness of the mean creature is a source of great trouble, like the bending of the gods, bow snakes or cat. The sugar-coated speech of villains is an alarming Bhavani Parvati as a flowers that blossoms out of the season. After doing him homage, Marika respectively inquired of him his errands. Wherefore, my son, are you so much disturbed in my mind that you have come all the way alone? Raj Ravana proudly repeated the whole story to him and added, assumes the false appearance of the village here so that I may be able to abduct the princess Marika. However, remonstrate, listen, Ravana, through disgust as a man, he is the lord of the whole animate and the inanimate creations. There can be no quarrel with him. Dear sons, we die when he would have us die alive only by his sufferance. Those very princes had gone to guard the sacrifice of the sage Vishwamitra. Then Sri Rama, the lord of the Raghu, smote me with the pointless arrow that threw me at the distance of 800 miles in an instant. It will not be good to antagonize them. I find myself reduced to the position of an insect caught in the nest of the Brahma, a wasp like winged creature in as much I behold the two brothers, whatever I took, even if they are human beings, dear sons, they are remarkable heroes, not less in oppositions to him will not be able, but can be possibly a man who recklessly killed Tatka and Subahu, broke Shiva's bows and slew Kara, Dushna and Trisha. Therefore, considering the welfare of your race, you had better return home. When he heard this, he flared up and showered many abuses on Marika. You fool, you presume to teach me as if you were my preceptor. Tell me with which warrior in this world is matched for me. Then Marika thought to himself, it does not do one good to make enemies of the falling nice. One skills in the use of the weapon. He who knows one's secrets, a powerful master, a dons, a wealthy man, a physician, a bankerist, a poet, and an expert cook. Either way, he saw he must die. He held the sword, refugee in the Lord of Ragu. If I argue further, the rest would kill me. Why then should I not kill by Sri Rama's arrows? Pondering thus in mind, he accompanied Ravana, unremitting in his devotion to the Sri Rama's feet. He felt extremely delighted at the thought that he would be able to behold his greatest friend Sri Rama, even though he would not reveal his joy to Ravana. My eyes will be rewarded when I behold my most beloved Lord to my great executions, and I shall fix my thoughts on her feet to the All Merciful, accompanied by Sita and the she younger and his younger brother. To think that Sri Rama, Sri Hari, the ocean of bliss, whose very wrath comforts final beatitudes, and whose thoughts subject to none, giving himself up entirely to the will of his devotee, will fit an arrow with his own hands and his bows and slay me. As he runs after me on foot, carrying his bows and arrow, I shall again and again turn in order to get a sight of my Lord. No one else is so blessed as I am. When the ten-headed Ravana drew near to the forest in which Sri Rama had taken up his abode, Marika assumes the false appearance of the deer so very wonderful as to defy description, with the body of the goat as artistically elated with jewels. When Sita saw the exceedingly beautiful creature, most lovely in every limb, she said, "Listen, my gracious Lord Sri Rama, the hero of Raghunath, the deer has the most charming skin. Pray kill the animals, my lord, and get me the hide. True as you are to your words." Thereupon the Lord of Ravi, even though he knew all the circumstances that had led Marika to assume the semblance of the deer, arose with joy to accomplish the object of the god. Casting a look at the deer, he reared up his loins and piece of the cloth, and taking the bow in his hands, fitted a shining arrow to the same. The Lord cautions Lakshmana, "A host of the devil's brothers roam about in the woods. Take care of Sita with due regards to your strength and circumstances, and making use of your intellect and discretions." The deer took the flight at the sight of the lords, and Sri Rama ran after it, pulling his bow's strings. How strange is that he whom the Vedas describe in negative terms, such as not that, and whom Shiva is unable to catch hold or even in meditation, ran in pursuit of the false deers. Now close at hand, the very next morning it ran away to the same distance at one time. It came into the view at another, if went out of the sights, thus alternately revealing and concealing itself and practicing every kind of the while. It took the Lord far away. Now Sri Rama took a steady aim and let fly the fatal shaft. When the animal fell to the ground with a fearful cry, first calling aloud to Sri Lakshmana, but the afterwards mentally invoking Sri Rama, and divining up the ghost, it manifested in real forms and so lovingly resembled Sri Rama, the omniscient Lord who could see the love of his heart, comforted on him the state which cannot be easily attained to even by the saints. The gods rained down flowers in abundance and sing praises to the Lord of Raghu, such a friend of the humble, that he conferred his own state's divinity of on a demon. As soon as he slains the rat, the hero from the lion turns back, the charming bow in his hands and the quiver at his breast. And Sita heard the cry of the distress. She was seized with the excessive fears and said to Lakshmana, "Go quickly, your brother is in great peril." Lakshmana answered with smiles, "Listen, mother, by the very play of the Sri Rama's eyebrow, the entire creation is inherited. Could he then be Avli's dreams of the being in anger?" But when Sita urged him with words that cut him to the quick, Lakshmana resolutions, for such was the Sri Rama's will, was shaken. He entrusted her to the care of all sovereign gods and deities presiding over the quarters, and proceeded to the place where Sri Rama, a veritable Rahu to the moon like Ravana, was, availing himself of his opportunity. When there was none by the side of Sita, the ten-headed Ravana drew near to the cottage in the guise of the recluse. Sri Rama, he in fear of whom the gods and demons equally trembled, so much so that they could not neither sleep by the day nor eat their food by the day, nor sleep by night. And the very Ravana proceeded on the mission of the thieving, looking this side and that side like her. Even so, the moment a man sets foot on the path of the wise, O Goda, king of the world, his bodily glories and his strength completely disappears. Having invented alluring stories of the various kinds, he does not only showed her the course which was dictated by political reason, but also used threats and made love to her said Sita, "Listen, O Holy Father, you have spoken like a villain." Thus Ravana revealed his real forms, and she was terrified when he mentioned his name. Sita plucked all her courage and said, "Stay a while, O wretch, my lord has come. Even as the tiny hair would wear a lioness, so that have you wooed your own destruction by setting your heart on me, O king of the demons." On hearing those words, the ten-headed Ravana flew into the lake. So in his heart he rejoiced to adore her, her feet. Full of the rig, Ravana now seated her in the chariots and drove through the air in great fury. He was so much afraid that he was scarcely able to drive. Lord of the Raghupiya, champions of the world, reliever of the distress and delighter of the suppliant, the sun that gladdens the lotus-like rays of the Raghu, for what fault of mine you forget showing mercy? Lakshmana, the fault is none of yours. I have reaped the fruits of the temple. I showed manifold where the lamentations that Videha's daughter utters. So boundless is mercy, my loving Lord is far away. Who will appraise the Lord of my county? And as would eat the sacrificial oblations at the sound of the Sita's loud wailing, all created being, whether animate or the inanimate, felt distress. Jatayu, the king of the vultures, heard the piteous cries and recognized from her voice that it was the spouse of the ShreiRama, the glory of Raghuresh, who was being carried away by the wild demon Ravana like a dun cow that had fallen into the hands of the some barbarian. Sita, my daughter, fear not. I will kill the demons. The birds darted off its furry like thunderbolt hurled against a mountain. Why not? Why do you not stop, villain? You are proceeding fearlessly if you have not yet known me. When he saw the vulture bearing down upon him like that, the ten-headed monster turns towards him and reflected in the Mount Menka, or can it be the Garuda, the king of the birds? The latter, however, knows my strength, as also is Lord Bhagwan Vishnu. When the birds drew near, he recognized it and said, "It is no other than the aged Jatayu who has come to drop his body at the sanctuary of my hands." At this, the vulture rushed in the extermination of his fury, exclaiming, "Listen, Rama, to my advice and return home safely, letting Janka's daughter alone. Otherwise, despite your many arms, what will happen in this? In the most terrible flame of the Sri Rama's wrath, your whole house will be consumed like a moth." Bellicose Ravana, however, gave no answer. The vulture Jatayu thereupon rushed wildly on the clutching the demon by his hair, pulled from him from the carriage so that he fell on the ground. Having prayed Sita in the safe retreat, the vulture turns once more towards Ravana and striking him with the beak tore his body. For nearly half an hour, Ravana lay unconscious. Much annoyed at the demons, now angrily drew his most dreadful swords and cut off Jatayu's wings, invoking Sri Rama and having accomplished marvelous speed. The birds fell at the ground. Ravana took Sita once more into the car and drove off in haste. Greatly alarmed, Sita was borne through the air, lamenting like a frightened doe caught in the trap of the hunter. Perceiving some monkeys splashed on the hill, she dropped some cloths, uttering Sri Rama, Sri Hari's names. In this manner, Ravana took Sita's heaven and kept her in the Ashoka garden. The rest tried every kind of treat, threat, and endearment, but failed miserably. At last, he kept her under a Ashoka tree strongly guarded. Sri Ramayana.